Welcome back to WRPL. It's the podcast where we talk about all the things we were watching, reading, playing, and listening to. My name's Ben.
And I'm Steve.
And our first episode of the new year that isn't just a recap. So, January's the hot month with all the coolest things. We're going to talk about some new releases, some things that were released in 2025 that we're catching up on, some of the shows and stuff that we didn't get to talk about last year. Let's start with a roll like always. Holy shit, that moved. 16? You seem to get 16 a lot. Is that me or...
I don't know.
All right.
8. Wait, hang on. Nope, I lied. That's a 9.
Fucking hate. Why did I ever create this dice thing? It's so stupid. It doesn't add anything. It's...
You know what? Honestly, though...
I kind of like it.
I dig it.
Well, let me just start with a little bit of news.
Okay.
It was a death that happened in 2025. We didn't get to talk about it. It was Isaiah Whitlock Jr. I figured I'd bring it up since you're a big Wire guy.
I am.
For those who don't know, he's the guy, he plays Clayton Davis, and he had the classic line, I'll take any motherfucker's money if he's just giving it away, which is amazing.
Or his even more famous line, shit.
Yes.
Which he said many times, and even in other movies.
Yes. Even like kind of, played a meta character in Cedar Rapids where he talks about, how much he
I always keeps one in the chamber in case y'all pondering. That's a line from Omar from The Wire.
I don't know much else about his filmography, but he's just one of those guys like, oh yeah, that guy.
He's been in a lot of stuff, but
things.
You would never know his name outside of The Wire, probably.
Dead at 71, not too early, not too late. That's kind of sucks. My coworker, he missed a bunch of days because his mom died on Christmas Eve.
Bummer.
And I was like, oh, your mom? Aren't you like in your late 60s? His mom was 97.
Jesus.
And she was living on her own. Like, she had nurses come to, like, remind her about, medicine and stuff. And, didn't drive or anything, but was still, like, independent at 97. Just got up, had some cereal, went to brush her teeth, collapsed in the bathroom from a heart attack or stroke or something, and died. And, like, that's the way to do it, if you can do it.
By falling down in the bathroom trying to brush your teeth?
You at least get one last meal, wake up, I'm going to start my day, eat some cereal, and then just drop dead, What I'm really saying, that's how you do it is, those are some years to get to.
Yeah, I know crazy. What you meant, but I was like, I'd much rather, I think, go with my sleep at 97 than,
for sure.
Like, brush my teeth and go like, well, now's the time.
No, I'm going to be on fire, going 90 miles an hour, but I'm going to try to hit Taco Bell and get something to eat real quick before I die so I can have that final meal. All right, well, Steve, you seem to know how to roll a die better than me, so why don't you start?
Okay, well, let's just knock some things out that you and I have talked about off air. Cool. We won't bore the audience with our thoughts too much. Just let's
just me when I'm editing the episode.
Yeah. All right, so you and I finished The Mighty Nein.
I sure did.
Amazon's animated D&D show from Critical Role, all new cast of characters, same voice actors. I enjoyed the show. It's I would say not as fun as season 1 because they're all kind of like silly doofuses in season 1, a little bit more serious. You see how they actually meet each other and like how they become a group versus Vox Machina, which started out as a group.
Sure.
I'm interested in these characters' backstories and see where it goes. And I know like little tidbits because I've sort of followed that a bit. But I don't know. I think it could be fun.
Looking forward to this female character with the big old sword who shows up in like the second to last episode. I don't know the character's name.
Yasha.
Okay.
Yeah. It shows up in like episode 2 and then doesn't show up again until like the last episode.
Yeah. I love the final fight was really fun.
I've never seen like, I think they call it like chronomancy, where it's just like time and gravity magic, and it's fucking cool. Like I never expected to see flying space ninja knights or whatever they were. Like they looked from like they were from the future in the show. I don't know, just really cool stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm into it.
Yeah. Speaking of D&D stuff, Dimension 20 released a new one, and I've never watched any of the Dimension 20 RPGs or tabletop RPGs that they've done. I've seen clips and it's like, oh, that's funny, but I don't know the context. But yeah, I
Yeah,
like
yeah.
these people. Well, like this new season has Vic Michaelis and Jacob.
Mhm.
And I don't know if either of them have done it before. I know Vic has not.
Jacob's done it once, I
Okay.
believe.
So I thought like, hey, they're my two favorites. Why not? And I watched the first episode in like three chunks. I think it's called Into the Gladlands. It's
Yep.
a Mad Max theme. And I was like, sweet. I love this. This is cool. Um, I don't know if I love it. And I've heard sometimes first episodes are rough. You got to wait and
You
see where
gotta
these
build the
characters
world. And
go.
yeah, yeah.
And it's like, oh, it's Mad Max, and everybody did the whole spiky shoulder pad things for a few years, and then went, what are we doing, guys? Let's be nice to each other. So it's like a team of nice guys doing nice things for the Fury Road, and like, oh, that's a fun concept, but I'm not as interested in watching
Mm.
people play this. I'm like, well, let's see how these characters are. And I don't really like their characters. I don't think Vic is taking it serious enough. I don't think she's playing her character. She's playing Vic Michaelis.
Okay, got it.
Whereas like Zach Oyama is killing it as just like a doofy motorbike guy. And then like Jacob is like a Totoro type character. And
Mhm.
then Kimmy is like a cockroach person. And like some of them know what they're doing, and some feel like they're like taking the piss out of it.
Yeah, yeah.
So I don't know. And especially it's only 6 episodes. Cool. I could handle about 12 hours of doing it, but I'm not super thrilled.
Yeah. I watched the first, I think, like 3 minutes of it,
Mhm.
and just him, Brennan, going, "All right, you're on the caravan." I was
Yeah.
like, "Damn, that's good. That's real funny." Because they're all like happy to take care of each other, and I just thought it was like, man, what a great bit. To
I
start
just
off with.
I didn't instantly fall in love with these characters. I like
Oscar.
no.
Oh, Allie.
Allie. I like Allie's character of just like has a metal cage on her head and like a spring on
Mm.
it and can like jump down and like save people because like Allie has done this before and they know
She's the most seasoned of everybody,
Yeah.
other than Brennan.
yeah. And then Oscar's just like, I'm a drag queen. Like, wow, interesting. And it's like, Kimmy is a cockroach person. Cool. Oh, are we gonna get some lore of why there's cockroach people? And we haven't yet. Why is Jacob a Totoro character? I don't know. It's just they're not winning me over. And I don't know, like some of the other concepts that they had seem kind of fun.
Yep.
And but I've heard like 50% of them are not very good.
Mm.
And maybe they would get good if they did 100 episodes of it and you could really flesh these out, but because they are short campaigns, maybe they're just not the greatest. So I don't know. It's like there's a huge wealth of stuff on Dropout that I'm not watching, but it's just not as entertaining to watch.
Yeah, I mean, the most I've watched of the Dimension 20 stuff is the Fantasy High,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's like kind of the one they're most known for.
Yeah.
And there's been
That's
others-
considered one of the best.
yeah, and there's been other seasons of it, like junior year or something, or whatever it is. So if you want longer storytelling, you have that option.
Mhm.
But also, I think like it has that element of like, well, everyone can kind of connect with these characters because they are high schoolers that we've all been through. It's just they're also like elves and dwarves and shit,
Yeah.
and like having like magical problems. But them doing like being high school like nerds or dweebs and dealing with like the tough cool kid who rides the motorcycle, but also like his motorcycle is like possessed by a demon or whatever. Like it's all like that kind of fun stuff.
Yeah.
So if you try one out, I'd recommend that one. If it's not for you, then it's probably not. It's really
Yeah,
for
because
you.
I've seen some of the concepts where it's like, oh, we are inside the brain of this genius, and like, oh, that's kind of cool. It's like, yeah, it's a crazier version of Inside Out. I'm like, wow, that'd be a hard story for me personally to try to tell. And I trust Brennan, and but I hear like, oh, this concept's really good, but the people suck, or the people are really good. But the DM, what's her name? The other one that does it sometimes? Yeah, they're like, ooh, she was not the one for this one. But anywho.
Mighty Nine, watch it.
Yeah.
All right. We also watched Stranger Things. I think I liked it more than you.
For sure.
I like the fifth season. Is it the weakest one?
Yeah.
For sure.
Is it the best looking one? Absolutely.
But even it's the worst season, I think is still enjoyable, and I've invested enough time in this where like I wanted to see how it ended. And I think in terms of like everyone was just worried, is this finale going to be garbage?
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't. I think it was a great finale that wrapped up virtually everything you wanted to wrap up and had like good emotional beats, and where there's still some lingering questions or things that like were kind of shushed away or whatever. Maybe, probably, I'm not someone who like did a deep dive on like, well, what about this stuff or whatever. It's like, who cares? It's been like 10 years and 5 seasons. I forgot most of it anyway.
Sure.
But was I satisfied with season 5 and the show overall? Absolutely. Yeah. Good job, Stranger Things.
I totally forgot about it, but in that first episode of season 5, you know, Hopper and Eleven, they're doing their training. And, you know, she has her little obstacle course and things like that. Well, we see Elle running through the woods, and the military men are after her, and then they capture her, and it's some woman that's just kind of dressed like her. And they're like, no, that's not her. Who was that? Did they plant her to do it? Did she just so happen to be wearing the same stuff that 11 wears? What was that whole deal? Like, if it was, like, Max or something, I know she was in a coma at the time, and, like, the military doesn't know who Max is, so she can do those things for him. That's fine. But it just seemed like some rando, and I'm not deep into the lore.
Well, no, it was just a rando. I think they kind of set a line as soon as they caught her where, and I could be remembering this wrong, but I think she was just like someone, because the town has been surrounded by the military and they're doing these experiments. I think there were certain like looky-loos and like punk kids or whatever would just like sneak on and try and like catch a glimpse of whatever's going on. And then they were just chasing her, and then maybe they thought, like, oh, there's a girl on base. It's probably her. But I think it was just some random person who just
happened to look like Eleven's clothing.
Yeah, well, that was for editing dramatic purposes.
Sure.
So,
I don't know. That just seemed like a really stupid thing. That was.
I think it was explained.
I don't know. I'm surprised they didn't kill off Mike's dad. You know. Nobody likes Mike's dad. He's a not a scumbag, but he's like an absent father and husband, and nobody liked that dude. This was the perfect time to kill him.
He's not absent. He's just unattentive.
Oh, yeah, sure, yes. He really does not give a shit. And I think you're supposed to go like, oh well, look, he let all these people live in the house and eat all of his food, but he could care less about anything going on. I don't know if this dude has a line in this season, but they should have killed him off. And the Duffer Brothers said, this isn't Game of Thrones, and we're not just going to kill everyone. But at the very end, like, the team is 20 people, and we don't need everybody. Murray should have blown himself up to get rid of that helicopter. You know, he could have died there. Killing off Steve when he was falling off the thing? Why not? Do it! Like, there's just too many fucking people in this show. And, like I've said before, it's one of those shows. They say they knew what they were doing the whole time. I don't believe that for a bit. And I want to go back in time and just show the Duffer Brothers this whole thing and say, make it better. Because this is a really great concept that I think got the Netflix treatment of, well, it can't be one season. It's a hit. We gotta do more. And then they just kept pumping out stuff and they didn't really know. We didn't know what the Upside Down was until the last episode. How lame is that? I just... And then to end it with just like a big shootout. This, you know, high school girl. I know she's out of high school by then, but like just becoming Linda Hamilton and killing this. I just didn't buy any of it. Like, what are the Demogorgons and the bats? They're just creatures that live on this planet. I don't know. I think the lore is kind of dumb, and I think they should have gone with their first idea that Stranger Things would be an anthology show, and every season would just be another kind of kooky, strange thing. And it could be a different cast. I think you could keep the whole cast, and every single season would be something different. It could either be connected to the previous seasons, or you just forget it, and it's kind of, Hawkins is a crazy place. Let's check out what happened in this other dimension, and it's, instead of Will getting captured, like we talked before, they go to a sleepaway camp, and they do a Jason movie for a season. You do the 80s tropes of these things, because they did kind of like an E.T. thing with this. Let's do a bunch of different ones with the same cast and let them grow up and deal with things. And you could switch things around, and some characters like each other, and then they're enemies in the next one. I think there was just so much more to do, except what they did was the most boring mystery you could possibly do. satisfying payoff, not a really great show.
Mm.
And the kids never got better as actors. Everybody kind of stayed the same level. They're great when they're 8, but that they need to get better and not stay at the same level of acting ability of when they were 8 years old. Most of these kids are not very good. Likable characters, nice actors and stuff, but not good actors.
Well, as successful as it was, it seems somewhat silly to go like, well, they should have done this because like clearly a lot of people liked it,
I
and
know.
to say that it's just like it's not a very good show when it's like yeah, season 1 was the best for sure, but I think like a lot of people would say like, oh well, season 1 was the best, but then you know what, season 4 was the second best season, and then 2 and 3, you could go either way on, but like everyone still more or less enjoyed it. And then season 5 was like a downturn, but at least you had the satisfying payoff at the end.
Sure.
But anyway, and then I just don't agree with you in terms of like these are bad actors or they didn't get any better as they went along, but we're not going to argue about it. So all in all, Stranger Things, you had your time. I don't believe it's done forever. I think give it a few years and they're like either going to reboot it or be like, here's $20 million, Millie Bobby Brown, come back to Stranger Things, and then it's like the government's back into some shenanigans. We need to get the boys and girls back together again for one last adventure.
I would not be upset if they did just do the further adventures of 11, and it's her, like the old Hulk show, staying one town away from the CIA, and she's just helping people. She goes to this village, and there's a corporation who's trying to build oil rigs, and she helps shut them down, but she's got to book it because they're hot on her tail, and there's a hotshot FBI guy trying to go after her. Like, I'm fine with like the Adventures of Elle. I don't need to see anybody else ever again.
The last thing you and I finished that we didn't talk about in the pod was Split Fiction.
Yeah. Talked a little bit about it on our recap.
Yeah. This should have been the perfect game for you and I. A 2-player split screen game. It's an adventure of 2 women who get shoved into this, high tech machine that pulls out their ideas. They're wannabe authors. One's a sci-fi writer. One's a fantasy author. You're more sci-fi. I'm more fantasy. So those are the characters we picked. And it's just their adventures in this digital world while trying to escape together and stop the evil corporate bad guy. I really love this game. There's some things I wish were different. It's from the creators of It Takes Two and A Way Out, which neither one of us like necessarily loved.
Yeah.
And then It Takes Two, which I absolutely love. But one of the most creative, innovative games I've ever had the pleasure of playing.
Yeah.
Super fun and creative and just so well thought out, and it all sort of these genres blend so well together along with other types of like gaming aspects. Like one level is like a pinball game, or one level is like a side scroller Duke Nukem style kind of thing, and just all this other like kinds of and fun side stories where like, oh, this thing we're 2 pigs and one can like fart rainbows or whatever.
And, now we're teeth and we're gotta fight the evil robot dentist. Yeah.
There's one point where we turn into hot dogs, and it all sounds stupid, but it's all so fun and clever and funny. The 2 leads you and I didn't necessarily love, and before anyone comes at us like, you guys just don't like women. Most of the games I love most are women characters. It's just I thought these 2 were a little kind of annoying.
They were just a little grating.
Yeah. That being said, really, really like this game, and I'd be happy to like do a Split Fiction 2, even though like I don't story-wise it makes sense to do it again.
Yeah.
How it ends. But yeah, the final sequence, just the whole time I'm just like smiling, just like I can't believe we're playing this right now.
Yeah.
Just really, really impressive game mechanics throughout. So Split Fiction gets an A from me.
If they just said, hey, we're doing it again, same situation, but we're changing the genres, I think like one would have to be horror, but what would be the other one? Like romance? But then what do you play in romance?
I think you would do some sort of like children's stories.
Okay.
Because you could blend like Dr. Seuss with like Narnia or whatever.
Okay.
And it could cross a bunch of different genres, but in the kids' world.
And the bright and the dark and the scary and the fluffy.
And how they blend together. Because like if we go back to It Takes Two, one of the most traumatizing moments in gaming.
Yeah.
And that was like a cute, fun, like we're like toy people. But you like murder a baby elephant, and it's looking awful.
Yeah.
So I think they could do something cool there, where I'd like to see the how they take these two complete opposite genres and blend them together. Because sometimes a lot of like kid stories are kind of scary.
Yeah.
And a lot of horror movies often use like children as horror things. So I think it's just it makes the best, the most sense. So Split Fiction 2, get on it.
Okay, so my first thing, Solar Opposites, season 6, came to an end last year. Didn't even know it came back last year. So that was a surprise just
They
going
do not
through.
market the show
Not at all. And I really love this season. It's not as kooky as some of the other ones. Like thinking back to like there was an Oakjaw episode, back in like season 2, I think. And like what a weird concept to reference. And the show references the show. Most jokes are a play on words that reference some dumb thing. Terry's shirt is always a reference to something. So their sci-fi stuff isn't as big and weird as last one, but this season felt more of an overarching story through all of it. And it wraps up really well. All the stuff with the wall, we get a definitive ending. There's definitely story there. We kind of jump ahead at one point. The Silver Cops get all their stuff gets tied back into the main story with the family, and it ends in just like a nice way. And I'm very happy with the ending.
So this is like the end of the show?
It's done.
Oh, okay.
Series finale, yeah.
Okay, I did not know that. Okay, well, good, because it doesn't overstay its welcome, and if it wraps up, I can't believe that wall concept lasted so long, because I think I was watching season 5, and I was just like, you know what, I still enjoyed the show every episode I watched, but I was like, I just don't know if I really care about the show anymore. And so, like, I didn't realize 6 came back, and I didn't finish 5, but I told you before, I was like, man, I don't care about the wall stuff anymore. Like, there's some really clever stuff in it, and like I loved it season 1, and season 2 was still good. And then after a while, it's just like, why is this like, this is a separate show that just keeps on going in this other show.
I think that's one of those, the fans love this so much, you're gonna keep doing it. You don't have Solar Opposites. It's Solar Opposites and The Wall. You have to focus on both these stories.
Right.
Because they really started doing a lot of it in those later seasons. And there's plenty of it here. I like The Wall in this season because it's peace. It's a time of peace. But all the like major bad guys that are still alive come back, and they're all like good guys now, and they're all working together to like get the fuck out of the wall for once and for all. And it's
for once and for wall.
It's good, and Terry always makes me laugh. They're all just so funny. I love the show, and I will be excited to rewatch it because I only ever did a once of everyone, and it's a show where you'll miss a joke if you're laughing too hard. Because there's always something in the background.
So Terry's your favorite?
You know what? It's hard.
Depends on the season, or
it really depends episode. I will just say Yumulak is my least favorite.
Okay.
I don't know, but it could be a tie between the other 3. I really like Corvo, especially when he got a voice change. I kind of struggled to remember what it is. Like, oh yeah, it's just a Justin Roiland Rick voice, pretty much. And I think he's so much better with his new voice. And
shout
Jessie,
out Dan Stevens.
Yeah, and Jessie, she's so funny because it just sounds like she's like a little kid that doesn't know indoor voice the entire time, and she's just screaming, and it's just so funny. I don't know. I love them all, but Yumulak is kind of like the weakest one.
Okay, fair enough.
Got another quick one, real quick.
Do it up.
Primal season 3 started last night.
Oh, I didn't know.
We had a definitive ending at the end of season 2. It was done, but I guess we clamored enough for it, and it's back. And it's just as good as the other stuff. But now he's a zombie. He's back from the dead and having memories of his past, and he's gonna just go on a bloody rampage until he can find it. Not sure how further along in the future we are, because rules don't really make sense in this. We have dinosaurs and humans, and then the Scots show up, and then demons, and so you would think, oh, well, if he's a zombie, maybe he's like a month old. Well, he could be 300 years old for all I know. I do not know how it is, but one episode down, I'm very happy to have this back.
All right, cool. I finished Mr. Scorsese on Apple TV.
Oh, okay.
This will be only for people who give a shit about like Scorsese or like cinema or whatever. It's a great little documentary about him. Really kind of covers his whole career in like 1 hour snippets and kind of just like, all right, this is his beginnings, and the next episode is like his work with De Niro, and the next episode is his like, post sort of De Niro fame of like Raging Bull and Taxi Driver. Now it's like, oh, here's all the movies he was doing, and he was, overworking himself and doing drugs and like making poor choices in his life, and then turns it around with DiCaprio, and then like they're really. So it's just like it's really, I wouldn't say it's super in depth, but it's the most in depth documentary we have of Scorsese and his work so far. Like honestly, I could probably watch each episode just be about one movie he made and like that whole process and just like how it all came to be. Like I think I would happily watch that show because when it's just kind of going like, oh, here's 10 years of his life told in 48 minutes. I feel like I'm kind of missing a lot of stuff.
Sure.
I didn't realize his current wife has Parkinson's, and they showed their relationship, and it was like very sweet and stuff, but also like kind of sad. I don't remember. They've been together a while though, and obviously they have like their daughter who's like in her 20s or whatever. I mean, it's obviously gotten progressively worse over the years, but it just I don't know. It was just nice to see.
Do they interview her?
They don't interview her, but she. Oh wait, do they? I mean, she talks like so slowly,
Sure.
That interviewing her would take too much. But they show him interacting with her like when they're just like having dinner together or whatever. But yeah, I mean, if you love Scorsese and his movies and want to see him talk about them and just like his career in general, and then they're interviewing De Niro and DiCaprio and like a lot of people that he's worked with over the years and like kind of where he was at that time and how things came to be. It's good stuff. But if you don't care about Scorsese or anything, just like skip it because you're probably gonna be bored.
I watched your most anticipated of 2026, Greenland 2 Migration. I like Greenland 1. It's a different take on the disaster movie, focusing more on the family and how we're prepared to handle this major disaster. And then this one, we're like 5 years post meteor landing, and they're trying to figure out what to do because it's radioactive outside, and they're still like, now we have a ring around the planet of just like debris that has got lost, stuck in the atmosphere, and every once in a while you get a meteor shower and it takes out a bunch of stuff. But they believe that there is like the promised land in the original crater where it hit, because it has like created now these walls, these mountain ranges so high that some of the radiation isn't getting down. It's more fertile now. I don't know if the science actually makes sense. It seems like that would be the most radioactive spot, but I don't know how it all works. But it's just them having to leave the Greenland base because there's like an earthquake and fucking kills everyone except for a handful of people. And it is a, well, now we got to get to this thing. Okay, we got to get onto a boat and we got to fight off a giant wave. Okay, now that we're on land, we got to...
You got to fight a wave.
Survive a wave.
I know.
It's like, okay, now we're in England and there's people who've been living outside forever, so they're all fucked up. And now we got to cross this gorge with ladders. And it's just like a bunch of series. There's like a huge gorge, and the only way to get across it is there's like ladders laying down and like man-made rope bridges, because that's the only way to get. And then of course an earthquake's happen and they're able to get out just in time as the ladder falls, and it's just a series of like crazy events until they're able to get to the crater, and Jerry Butler gets shot and dies. It was very much like a Caesar at the end of the Apes trilogy. Of like, I got my family here. Now I could die peacefully. And then they cut to the crater, and it was like comical how lush it was. It was like Dinotopia or something. It was just it was a bit much. And but it wasn't like a terrible movie. There's just no characters in it. It's just I'm dad and I will do whatever it takes for my family. I'm mom and I'm the girl. And then I'm the son, and man, I'm kind of horny for the stars. It makes sense if you watch it.
Okay.
And it's fine. It's not as good as the first one, but it's not a piece of shit. Steve, your turn.
I finished A Man on the Inside, Season 2, starring Ted Danson.
Yeah. Haven't been able to pull the trigger on that one.
From the creators...
Man on the Inside 1.
Yes, Man on the Inside, Season 1. From the creator of Parks and Rec and...
Brooklyn Nine-Nine?
No. Well, he's a producer on it, but he's great.
Yeah.
And the creator of The Good Place.
Yeah.
So any sort of like feel-good show of the past 15 years, Michael Schur has had his hand in it. And so Season 1, I really, really loved. The story of a man who is, grieving the loss of his wife. It's been years since his wife's died, but it's never like he kind of lives alone, can't come to terms with it. And then, gets a job as like a private detective investigating an old folks home because the PI who's running the agency is like a young woman. So she's like, I can't infiltrate this thing, but this guy can. And it's him building his relationship with all the people who live in the old folks home. And it's just like a sweet show. And like it's pretty much an entire like elderly cast. And they're all fun. And it's really funny and also like super emotional. Me and my wife cried at points in the show. Like Season 1 is fantastic. Season 2 is pretty mediocre in my opinion. There's still some bits that made me laugh. Ted Danson's very good. But you like removed almost all the old characters from Season 1 because now the focus is, there's a blackmailing plot at this college that Ted Danson and his family went to or whatever. And it's just not as interesting. And
is he undercover as a professor?
Yes.
Okay.
So he's going undercover as a professor trying to figure out who stole this laptop that has like info that they need to get back, otherwise the school could go under because there's this tech billionaire who is like funding the school, and if they don't get it back, they're worried he's going to like pull funding or whatever. Okay. But a lot of people like hate this tech billionaire because he's a real piece of shit.
Played by anyone we know?
I think Gary Cole.
Okay.
Yeah. Famously known as the TPS report guy from Office Space. Classic, real piece of shit.
Yeah.
Great actor. Anyway, so yeah, it's just not as funny as I remember Season 1 being. The plot isn't as all that interesting because like I liked that it was like about old people and now you kind of eliminated.
But do you do that again? Is that
I'm not sure
what
like
it's going to be?
How you would do that. So it's fine that it's like, it's a new case, a new setting. And I think it like hints at like bigger ideas of like how our education system is now and tech billionaires. But it just like, and then his like daughter is like thinking about going back to school, and Ted Danson gets a love interest this season. So there's like things that have like of interest that you could do stuff with, and I think it all pulls it off fine. But it never feels like it leans into anything too much or hits too hard on this because like there's like maybe a scene or two that's like kind of emotional but doesn't hit nearly as hard as Season 1, and it's just kind of like it's fine. There's a nice nod to his other shows. Like at this college, they like will like take stones that from former students and like write messages on it. So like when students walk through this like stone garden, they can see messages from the past and just advice and stuff. And he puts down one, and it says like you're never too old to start over. And I was like, that's kind of like the message of the show. Like he's an old man, but he's like finding new things and new people and new life experiences. And then next to it is Find Your Team and Get to Work, which is a Parks and Rec line, I believe. Okay. And then the one next to that is like a painting of a wave, and it says a wave returns to the ocean, which is like from Chidi's speech at the end of The Good Place. Okay. And so I was just like, I just thought that was cute. Okay. Anyway, if you like A Man on the Inside Season 1, you'll probably like Man on the Inside Season 2. I just don't think it's nearly as good. I'll give it Season 3 a shot. But yeah, I don't know. I'd be interested to see where like their next mystery is.
What's Season 3? Where do you put them now? Because I can see people not liking it because they love the old folks stuff and doing that again. different old folks home, different old people, but like, we lost the magic. Let's do it again.
Yeah.
But we're not saying not that. Where are we putting them?
Because I think the whole show kind of takes place in San Francisco,
I believe so.
or something like that. So maybe I'd like to see him go to another place. And I'm thinking like, so a big thing with like older people right now is like they're getting scammed easily and they're not too tech savvy and stuff like that. And since that wasn't really the crux of that, I could see him going to like Miami, where like there's a bunch of retirees and there's like this call scam going on, and so he's infiltrating that, trying to like find the people who are like scamming all these older people out of like their money through like telephone schemes. And maybe you don't have to do it in Florida,
Sure,
but like Michael Schur has like ripped apart Florida all through The Good Place or whatever, so you could get some more jokes out of that. I don't see why you would need a private investigator from San Francisco to go to Florida. Anyway, but my point is, you could do that in San Francisco too, and it just kind of be more like not a close-knit retirement community that pretty much all of the same house, but like a retirement neighborhood where you could like everyone has. Like,
it's a 55 plus neighborhood. They're
everyone has a bit more
independent.
freedom, but everyone's like a little bit maybe more sexy or whatever.
Sure,
I don't know.
Yeah,
Ted Danson's doing some more flirting. I don't know. But
I like the scam stuff. My initial thing was put it on a cruise ship because a lot of old people like do those retirement cruises. That would make it like an easier shoot because it's just a one location sort of thing. But you could maybe do a scammy thing on the boat. There's gambling there, and they're taking advantage of them. There's something there. And then season 4. He needs to go to the International Space Station because something fishy's going on there. And he has to pretend to be an astronaut.
But yeah, I mean, I'm just happy shows like this exist in terms of like, it's not about, punching down. It's just there to make you feel good and make you laugh. And I think we need more like feel good shows. And so like, I'm glad this exists. I just wish it hit as hard as season 1.
I saw a movie from last year that finally got a wider release called The Plague, and I really like this movie. I would highly recommend you see it. I think men of all ages should see this because I think it's relatable. One of the more relatable movies I've seen since like 40-Year-Old Virgin. I remember seeing that and going like, fuck. That's me. Not that I wasn't actually virgin at that time, but just like seeing how his life got to there. I was like, ooh, I can see myself going down that path. And this is about a summer school, like YMCA thing that does different sports. And this is like a water polo team. They're all 11, 12, 13-year-olds. They do other things. Like there's the water ballet girls who, they're probably 15, 16, 17. So the boys are all like, wooga, wooga, But it's about a young boy who he's just moved into town and he's trying to make friends. And it's very cliquey. There's a main group of boys, and they're talking about all the boys stuff. They're doing a lot of would you rather sort of pervy sort of things.
I think you do.
Yeah, exactly. I told you this was a very relatable movie. They're like telling stories in the bunks at night. Like tell us a sexy story while everybody's jacking off to it and stuff. And this kid is like kind of embarrassed about that, so he's kind of lying about it. And they're all picking on this one other kid because he has like a rash on his whole body. He's the only one that's like wearing like a swim shirt, and like a more of a scuba diving sort of thing. And like, don't touch him. He has the plague. And if he touches you, everybody makes fun of you and you got to go wash it off real fast or otherwise you get it. And he feels bad for this kid, but he doesn't want to be picked on as well. So he's joining in on some of the stuff, not as hard as them, but then is also trying, when no one's looking, try to befriend this guy. And well, this kid is kind of like a weirdo. Sure. And there's a reason, even if he didn't have this rash, people wouldn't be his friend. And so he's balancing that of like trying to fit in, but not being a complete asshole and give up all of your morals. And I fucking loved it, man. It's shot like a horror movie. There is like a little bit of blood at one point, and you want to talk about some good kid actors. These kids are so believable as kids. Like the weirdo kid is great as a weirdo. The main kid is really endearing and likable. And then the main kind of bully kid, oh, you want to punch this little fucker so bad. He is such a little shit. And in movies sometimes they go hyper crazy with how cruel
Yeah,
kids can be. Like if you think of Let the Right Ones In,
that's
you
immediately
know,
what I thought.
exactly. It has a pool, bullies, yeah. Like these are kids that would actually stab you in the face as bullies. These ones, like the worst thing they do is like they put a bunch of cockroaches in his bed and hold the sheets down.
Mm.
They don't try to actually murder him,
Sure, sure, sure.
because they are just little, 13-year-olds. And but goddamn, this kid, great actor. You just believe everything that he does. And all the other background ones just like they don't have as much screen time, but they just feel like actual kids being little dickheads. And it was great. I loved it.
Oh yeah. I mean, I heard good things, but I knew nothing about the movie. Like honestly, I thought it was a horror movie about some sort of plague.
Yeah.
So that's interesting that it's just about boys, quote unquote, being boys.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'd check that out.
Yeah.
Cool. Pluribus.
Yeah.
Okay, and then I'll do my book.
If you have to. Yeah. Let's talk Pluribus.
Pluribus. The new show by Vince Gilligan on Apple TV Plus. Ben, we've lightly talked about it, but not really talked about it because you finished it weeks ago,
Mm-hmm.
and I just finished it recently. And obviously, I didn't want to know spoilers, and you didn't want to give me spoilers. So, Pluribus, what'd you think?
It's fucking great. I love this show because it does not care about, I don't want to say keeping you engaged. It's
Mm.
not about like it's not an algorithmic sort of thing like, well, every 7 minutes we need to have a gun go off or an explosion or a titty pop out. It's like it can just be what it is. And if sometimes that is just watching a character walk through the desert, get on a plane, land in a place, and if it takes like 15 minutes to just watch the journey of this character silently until we actually meet them with Carol, like you're allowed to do that. And it's great for it. There are
Mm.
just times where they can just be chill. Her just driving a golf cart around, seeing a buffalo, and then just keep on golfing. And it's I could see a lot of studios going like, well, does this actually matter to the plot? Let's cut this shit. We can get these 10 episodes down to 5 if we got rid of all this fluff. And I'm just happy that it is allowed to just breathe. I will say I kind of wish when Manukos,
Uh, um,
the guy from South
yeah,
America,
yeah.
I kind of
Masuzos?
wish he met Carol maybe 2 episodes earlier, because
Okay.
once they met and have tried to like explain things to each other, it started getting kind of exciting. Like, oh,
Yeah.
where is this actually going to go? And then we're kind of just left with, oh, wait for season 2.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm back and forth where it's like I like the slow pace, but then once we started ramping it up, I'm getting more and more excited, and then boom, we're done. And he's already said it's gonna be a while before we get to season 2, and like that pisses me off. This
Mm.
show seems like it's really easy to shoot because it's not huge cast. Yeah, there's a lot of background
It's like
for some scenes.
it's global, but a lot of their stuff is, I'm pretty sure, just shot in Albuquerque,
Yeah,
but made to
in
look
this
like
this cul-de-sac.
Peru or wherever.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, but you said the show was going to be about 4 or 5 seasons, so you probably know where you're going. What's the fucking holdup, man? What is it with Apple and taking so long? And if they had, and like they have a lot of good stuff. So we have our Severance and our Silo and our For All Mankind and everything. And so if everything takes 2 to 3 years, well, at least you have one every year to look forward to. But like I forgot Silo came out January of 2025. Like shit, we're only into January 2026. Am I gonna have to wait another year for that? And that's the same my feeling with Pluribus. I'm like, fuck. But all in all, great show, and I love Ray Seahorn. She's amazing. She's so good in this. I don't know who else you would get. I can't picture anybody else doing this character.
Yeah. I also really like the show. I wouldn't say like I'm in love with it quite yet,
Sure.
but in terms of like, so what made Breaking Bad so great is how like detailed it was and how like it really seemed like they thought of everything, and that continued with Better Call Saul. Now that show had the luxury of having drugs and guns and
Yeah.
violence and
Uh-huh.
action. Like that show like lent itself to
They
that.
never popped a titty though, did they?
I don't think so. No,
No.
no titty popping. Uh, Full dong though. You know,
Yeah.
yeah. Uh, Better Call Saul, more like never mind.
Nope. Cut it, cut it. Bad
Abandoned.
joke.
Yep, cut it, cut it, cut it. Anyway, but it has sort of the same style in terms of just like uh, where you have a very banger first episode to really like get you into the concept. Like
Hmm.
episode one is like so scary, and you're like, what the fuck is
Yeah.
going on? Because if you're in that scenario, like I don't even know how a human would react.
Hmm.
Just terrifying, just seeing all these people just convulse all around you, and the people that you love are like going down, and there's just it seems to be affecting everybody but you, and then all of a sudden they're just like, oh hey,
We want to help.
yeah, come join us. Just fantastic first episode, very much like Breaking Bad, and then it's all just sort of like slow world building, and it's like,
Hmm.
well, what's going on with this? And it's not like the show ever like takes too long to get to that answer. It'll give you that answer relatively quick. But it'll show you in like an interesting way. It might take a while for that episode to get there,
Hmm.
but then it's like, well, okay, so if this thing's happening, then what about this? Well, we've already thought about that, and
Yeah.
here's a character who can explain it.
Yeah.
And it's just so interesting to have this like this group of people who have essentially taken over the world and gone like, we want you to join us so like the world can be at peace and everything like that, but also just like while they're nice and they can't lie and they do whatever you want, they still have feelings and go like, Noah, Carol, we need some space, and then
Hmm.
just disappear, and now you're completely alone.
Yeah.
Or she's arguing with the Zoja, and then she's like, you need to tell me this, and then everyone's like coming out like, don't tell her
Hmm.
this stuff, and it's just very and it gets very scary again.
Hmm.
So it's funny that it's just like a show where it's like it seems so sweet at times. Like I can see why I would want this too. But then other times, like, well, no, that I still want society to exist at the same
Hmm.
time too, because
I don't
I,
want rape and murders,
yeah,
but
I also don't want to be
also,
a hive mind.
yeah.
I want some free will and independence. So it's a very interesting show in that regard, and even though that there's essentially zero action, I am engaged with everything that's going
Hmm.
on. And this character could have easily been like so unlikable to watch because I need a character I can, even if they're like a real piece of shit, I need to be able to get behind them, or they
Yeah.
need to be like they can be a psycho serial killer murderer, but maybe they got some charisma, so I can
Hmm.
like enjoy watching them.
Like,
But
you like Dexter,
yeah,
you know?
but like if you're just a miserable person every episode, it's going to be such a slog to like
Yeah.
watch you. And I think Rhea Seehorn does such a good job of like the reason she's being real shitty right now is totally understandable
Yeah.
considering the circumstance. Like she's infinitely allowed to be a shitty
Hmm.
person, but then when she gets her moments of like loneliness or sadness or like joy or whatever, it all just feels like natural and earned and
Hmm.
everything. And I think she's just such a great actress in general. Anyway,
Yeah.
so like of course she makes it work because it could have just been like I think another actress. It would have been very easy to go like, well, I'm just gonna be like really lean into like the anger of it all or the you know real bitchy to these people of it all, and wouldn't have been a fun watch. But I
Yeah.
think I can see people going like, yeah, she's not a great person. It's like, yeah,
Yeah.
but she's earned the right to not be a good person.
And it's like in the description of like the world's most miserable person has to deal with a world infected by happiness or whatever it was. I'm like, she's supposed to be this way. She's not acting out of character. She's
Yeah,
written this way. Everybody she loves is dead. She has like no family. I like that they mentioned like, well, you got a cousin. You want to talk to them?
I haven't
Nah.
talked to her
Yeah.
in 15 years. Why would
Yeah,
I talk to him
I
now?
don't, I don't give a shit. And like, so she had one person in her life that knew her completely, and that person is gone. And like she's justified in being pissed off at these people.
Yeah,
And man, I saw something on Reddit. People were going like, "Oh, do you think her and Menudos or whatever? You think they're gonna, start hooking up?" I'm like, "What the fuck are you talking about? She's gay." It's like, well, maybe she's bi. I'm like, oh my God. Just because there's a man and woman on screen that instantly
Yeah.
think that they need to be together. I'm like, that is never going to happen. And if they do, I'm done with the show.
Yeah, I don't think it would ever be we're gonna hook up. The only thing that I could possibly see being the scenario is like, okay, we've eliminated a bunch of humans, or like maybe we are the last 12 people on Earth. Like, I'm gay, but I will inseminate myself to just like keep the human race going.
They
I
would
could see
probably
that
just
maybe.
instantly be part of the collective, though, because
No, but I'm saying like she's not getting people from the collective. I'm saying if he never
no,
gets.
I know, but like they put it in the air, so it would probably still be in the air. So that baby is not a guaranteed like immune to it, and may just instantly be part of the hive mind the
No.
moment it's
Well,
born.
but if they figure out how to defeat them, I'm just
They're
saying.
not scientists, and that's what I like, that there isn't someone who knows what the fuck they're talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah.
And she just, as a writer, has to kind of go like, well, how do you write this story? How do you figure it out? Let's puzzle it all out and get all the information that we need. Um,
But yeah, my point is, I
yeah.
agree that I don't want them to be together
Yes,
or like
please,
do any of
please
that
no.
stuff. I'm just saying I can see a version where like worst case scenario,
But
she like has a baby, but that's it.
yeah, if it was that sort of deep sort of, the collective has left us because we refuse and they don't want to get blown up by the atom bomb that she now has, and they just completely abandon her and has that like knows they're never going to come back. I don't even think they would do that. Maybe, I don't know. I don't like that.
Yeah, I obviously Vince Gilligan and the writers of the show are way smarter than us and doing way
Yeah.
more research and all that stuff. So more power to them. I'll happily watch a season 2 whenever that comes out. Um, obviously, as detailed as the show is, like I can see that's like, all right, well, we need to. It takes a little bit longer to write scripts because we're not just like pushing out, you know, Law and Order schlock or
Sure,
whatever. Like
yeah.
we actually have to like, you know,
Yeah.
we're not writing the same stories over and over again.
I think by
Um,
the end of season 2, they will have figured out how to pull someone out of the hive mind.
mm.
It'll be hard. Maybe it'll have to be something like with the drugs and yelling at them, but they'll be able to pull them out.
Yeah, it was hinted at a little bit
Yeah.
at the end of
And
this
so we'll
season.
go like, oh, I can't wait till season 3 in 2029.
Yeah. So just really, really great stuff.
Yeah.
Because I knew nothing going into the show.
Yeah.
And, had a good time
Yeah.
overall.
Would you be a scumbag if you were her?
Or you mean like
You're one of the last people, the uninfected.
like like would I be like the one dude who's just it'd be hard not to. I mean,
Well, I mean,
I think I would have to like really talk with the thing and like figure out like what she's doing and figuring out how as much possible as like how they work. Because
mhm.
if it's just like, oh, well, I can do all the fun stuff I want to, but then if they like snap out of it, and then all these people are
I'm
like,
like,
"Hey, I
you
remember all
fucking
the
raped
stuff
me,
you
yeah.
did," then it's like, "Oh, that's not
That's not
cool."
cool. See,
Yeah,
I would like to do stuff like, hey, where's that Community movie? Get them on it.
yeah,
Oh, what movies and games and TV shows were in production at that time? Because you not that you'll watch everything, but like, hey, whatever happened with Avengers Doomsday? I want to know what that is. Get in there and start making it.
yeah.
And
I'm just greenlighting everything I wanted to greenlight.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah, it would be that, or it's just like, hey, uh, LeBron James, I want to play basketball with him and beat his ass
Yeah.
and just like have him be
I
terrible.
would love to
Like just
just
something that like I do like innocuous stuff.
weird stuff. I mean, I would love to say, you know, bring me all the people who had a legitimate crush on me, and either be like surprised and go, oh really, oh I didn't know that person did, or I don't know who these people are. Oh,
Mm.
they saw me at a Subway one time and they thought I was cute. Or be really sad when like 4 people show up and you're like, well, okay, now I'm time to be a scumbag.
Or 30 people show up and you're like, ew, these people.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I would just have 1.5 million questions of just like, I don't know, movie trivia and stuff. Like, yeah, tell me, bring George Lucas to me, and I want him to pitch me what his Star Wars Episode 7 was going to be.
Yeah, I'd like to see Obama guest star on this and just be like,
So
tell me all
good.
the presidential secrets that
Yeah.
you weren't
What's
allowed.
Area 51 like?
Yeah, just like because they got the hive mind knows everything. So it's like if that any human knows any sort of piece of information, and I can have access to the entire human race at the same time, like, why wouldn't I ask, like, dark, like, like what stuff?
Who's on the Epstein list? Bring everybody who's on the Epstein list in front of me right now and a minigun. Yeah, it's like, would they do that? If you said, bring these people here, I'm going to kill them, would they do it?
I don't know if they asked that on the show. But another thing I was wondering is, so the show establishes that, like, they can't lie. And they said, like, hey, we won't turn you unless you want us to. But it just seems to me like if they have everyone's memories and all this stuff, I feel like it would be so easy for them to, like, use all these millions of people who have, like, psychology degrees or, like, con artists or researchers, whatever, who, like, have studied the human race their entire life. Like, it should be kind of easy to just, like, get into not Karen, I'm just calling her Karen, I guess, Rhea Seehorn's character's, like, mindset, where it's like, yeah, we can't lie, but, like, we know enough about the human race to, like, make it to where manipulate
but
her.
Maybe they don't believe in that either, you know?
I don't know. It just seems like that's my one major. And I'm not saying it's like a plot hole or anything like that, but it's just like it just feels like, yeah, even if they can't lie, they should be able to, like, half truth their way or, like, act in a certain way to get Carol to, like, ease her into the transition of, like, joining
that's kind of what they're doing. They got someone who looks like her character. And
well, right, that's what I'm saying.
You know, like, they're doing
I don't have any other evidence other than that. And obviously, like, later in the season, they've, like, sort of developed a relationship. She's like, I don't care about anyone else except for this one hive mind, even though, like, she's the hive mind of everybody.
Yeah.
So it's
You're
like,
sleeping with Dick Cheney right now.
Yeah.
Oh, and maybe he died before that came out.
But, like, when you have the one episode of the guy who's, like, doing the James Bond skits and, like, sleeping with the women, it's like he's getting them to play characters who
are lying
by acting.
But if it's a request, then that makes them happy to make you happy. They're willing to do it, but they won't do it for themselves. They can't even pick an apple unless it's on the ground.
Sure. So I just wonder, like, where that goes, because maybe that's like if you said, "Oh, make me the Community movie" or whatever. It's like, well, I can't because then that would require us to act, which would be lying, which we cannot do. Then I could go like, okay, that makes sense. But if it's just like, oh no, well, we've established that they can, like, pretend to be other people.
Yeah.
Then it's like, well, what's stopping them from pretending to? You know what I'm trying to say?
I mean, it's probably just a consent thing. Like, yeah, I could pretend to be someone who isn't part of the collective, you know, but the moment you say, are you part of the collective? Like, jig's up. You know, they just have to ask the right question to kind of undo everything.
If you're a cop, man, you got to tell me you are. Yeah, I don't know. That's my only, like, real thing, and I'm interested to see where the show goes. Anyway, Pluribus, check it out.
Stuff. I watched a new release, probably the big release of this month. I watched Primate. Killer monkey movie, like, right up my alley. Love animals killing people. I don't care if they're genetic experiments. I don't care if they're mutated or if it's just rabies. I love it when an animal kills a human being. And this one was pretty good. I had a good time. I unfortunately had heard just from being on TikTok, like, wow, this movie's crazy gory. Like, oh, I didn't expect it to be gory. I knew there would be kills, but it would be like you'd see a monkey smashing someone behind the pool table, and you'd see maybe blood fly up, but you wouldn't see their actual head mashed in. And there is some of that, and then it also doesn't go far enough with some of it. Like, there is a guy who gets smashed by the monkey with a shovel behind a chair. I'm like, oh, why didn't we see that? We just saw this dude get his face ripped off right in front of the camera. Show the head get smashed in.
Budget reasons.
Maybe, sure. So going in, I was a little disappointed with how extreme I thought it was going to be. But I had a great time. Good practical effects. This monkey, I'm happy, was a person in a suit. There's like no CG. I mean, maybe they did a little eyeball stuff or whatever, but as far as I know, it's fully animatronic face, guy in a suit doing stuff. Yes, you can tell it's a guy in a suit. It's no Caesar. You're not fooled into believing this is a real monkey. But,
It works.
it works for what it is. There is a part where they get into the pool because apes can't swim, which is a false thing. They can if they need to. um, and there's like no shallow end, so they're treading water and they're stuck there. They kind of do that a little early, and there's not enough gimmicks. Like she has to slowly sneak out and get the pool floaty so they could at least have that. And normally you would separate our group, and there's people upstairs and there's people in the pool and there's a monkey in between. And like, oh, we got the phones, but they're down by the pool and I can't get it. And like, oh, but we cut the power up here, and they would have to try to work together. And there's not enough kind of gimmicks. They eventually get out of the pool and they're hiding in a closet. They step on the TV remote and the TV goes blasting, and they got to hide in the closet, and the monkey's stalking them. Like little bits like that. I wanted a bit more, but there's just like a lot of pool stuff. The dad from Coda, the deaf actor, he's in it, and he plays their dad. And he's deaf, so there's a scene like he finally comes home, and like as soon as the door closes, all the sound goes out. And so you like see the monkey kind of like stalking him and doing stuff in behind. The daughter's screaming, "Dad, look out!" And he's not paying any attention. So there's some good tension in this movie. And they kill that fucking monkey at the end, so that's good.
Hell yeah.
I feel bad for some of the people who died. There's like a guy who goes over the edge of the pool and he lands right on his head on the rocks. Like you see him falling the entire time. It's kind of a fucked up shot, and then he lands on his head and it cracks. It's kind of funny, but it's just sad. Like fuck this monkey. And his name's Ben, so like, Ben's gone crazy.
So, damn right. I don't remember if they said it in the trailer because I only watched the trailer one time. Is there a reason this? Because the monkey is like their pet,
yes,
right?
And
then, like, what makes it go murderous?
Rabies. There was a neighbor had like muskrats or something, and it got out of its cage, got into Ben's cage, bit him. He bashed that thing to death, and then they send it into the vet, and they're like, "Are you joking? This thing has rabies. There's no rabies in Hawaii." I guess there's no rabies in Hawaii.
Oh, all right.
But
good for Hawaii.
It was just rabies. Yeah, he just went nuts.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it wasn't just like some overly intelligent monkey.
He is intelligent. He's got a little iPad that he can talk.
Oh, okay.
The mom was like, she taught him how to sign and things like that, and then she died, and so the family's kind of in mourning, but it doesn't really play a big part. He's just like a smart ape that has been in the family for a very long time.
So then my one question is like, is there any sort of like villainous monologue the monkey does in sign language with the deaf dad? Do they have a conversation that like right before he murders him or something?
No.
What a waste.
I mean, there are times where it's like he's looking at him and he's just like, die. And it's like, why did you give him die as one of the vocal things on his thing? I understand like treat, sleep, happy, sad, but die? Why do you give him die to say?
Well, no, it's because they're playing Dungeons and Dragons. And they're using die.
Yes, that's it.
Yeah, and
it wouldn't just be like my turn, or anything like that. It would just die. But yeah, that would be funny if it just like, the pain of being stuck in this cage has brought me to the, had some very philosophical thing to say, but no, he did not.
But you had a good time.
But I had a good time. I'm going to give it a B- because went in with higher expectations from just the word of mouth. It hit it like, because the first thing you see, one of the first scenes is the guy getting his face ripped off, first 3 minutes. And I was like, hell yeah, we are in for a treat. But then when one guy just gets like a girl gets her head bashed in with a rock, but you don't really see it. You see kind of like the aftermath, and her face is all kind of bruised and messed up. But I expected like he's bashing her head and then he's pulling out the brain to eat, or finger fooding it. So like they skimp on some, but then like they pull this dude's jaw off at one time, and it's crazy looking.
All right, well. I spoke to a friend of the pod, Nick, and he said he had a really good time with it. So I expected you to as well.
Yeah, I think it would have been fun to watch with people. I didn't have I had to go to the open caption showing, we had our whole day planned out. I was going to go to an early one. Oh, go to the later one. Then blah blah blah. And of course, it's the open caption one. Not a lot of people show up for those, but it was still in a big theater. And it's a relatively quiet movie anyway, especially, you have to have characters that do sign language and stuff, so you have subtitles anyways. So it wasn't that big of a deal.
Yeah.
And it's only like 89 minutes, so love it.
Love it.
Same with like Greenland. That was like less than 90 or maybe 91.
Yeah.
Just like in and out. Because if that was 2 hours long, I may have skipped it and was like, oh shit, that's an easy watch. I could watch this before work. So
right. Cool stuff.
Yeah.
All right, I got one last thing before my last thing. I finished a book, which I already gave you like a little hint of, how I felt about it. I read Ultra 85, the book by Logic.
Oh, yeah.
Logic, the rapper turned author turned
Rick and Morty character.
Rick and Morty character turned recently.
Wait, was it
writer
Logic,
director,
or was that Future?
No, it was Logic.
Okay, it was Logic.
Where we talked about what's the little goober's name?
Oh yeah, he was did a song about that guy.
Whatever. Anyway.
Yeah, anyhow.
So I've been a fan of Logic's music and stuff, and he's written some other books, and I read those too. The first one he wrote was called Supermarket, which is kind of like about a young kid who works at a supermarket, and then like he might be mentally unstable and seeing things that aren't really there, kind of like Fight Club-esque inspired, I would say. And then his second book was just like a memoir on his life. And so this book was his like attempt at a sci-fi story set in the year like 2115. Like music and movies and art and all that kind of stuff has just been like outlawed because it doesn't it's not conducive with like the cause of humanity, which like Earth is now sort of uninhabitable. Everyone lives on the space station called Babel, and the Ultra 85 are like 85 families who like live on this planet called Paradise. And if you are like do well and you are chosen, you can go live on Paradise with these like elite family members and stuff. So him and his buddy are just like basically space truck drivers or whatever. They're just on their ship, like hauling cargo and stuff. Long story short, they accidentally come across this wormhole that teleports them to the planet Paradise, and it turns out Paradise is not exactly what it seems. Yeah. It's actually the elite. Whenever somebody is chosen to join them on the planet because they're like really, good soldiers for the cause or whatever, they're actually getting reprogrammed and essentially become slaves for the Ultra 85. Who just like, it can be soldiers, it can be their butlers, it can be sex workers or whatever. Just human beings who have no free will anymore. Now the big thing of this book is him and his buddy have this drive that has like every movie and every album and whatever from the past, like mainly from the 21st century.
Of course.
Because by like 2030 or 2050, they kind of like stopped making stuff or whatever. But they're really into, stuff between like 1970 and 2020 or whatever.
Crazy. That's the stuff I know about.
Yeah. Which like in a way can be a fun concept, but man, this book is not very good in my opinion. And like, I'm not like a huge reader, but I'd say I read more than the average dude. Sure. I try and do a book a month. And I mostly read fantasy, some sci-fi, so I was willing to like give it a shot. So you have two characters who like this entire book, it's like it can't go 3 sentences without referencing some movie or some book or some quote from a thing or some music album, and it just gets so kind of fucking annoying really, really quick because it's just like too referential. Mm-hmm. And then you have your two leads who I thought at the beginning were like, in their late 20s or something. These are 50-year-old characters who are like just referencing like X-Men and stuff and just like talking how I guess some people talk now. I never found the dialogue like natural and just seemed like so out of place to be like essentially 100 years in the future, mm-hmm. which like I can understand why, if they're really into this time period, they might talk like this. amongst themselves,
Yeah.
but they're like engaging with everyone in this sort of dialogue. It's like no one's gonna
Know what
understand what
because
you
it's illegal, right? So they're not going to
well,
be hip to all the slang.
yeah, but they don't really go into that. They call it like old Earth accent or whatever.
Okay, like transatlantic, like we all don't.
Yeah, so like I guess some people talk. I don't know,
Okay.
but they're saying like, I'm on my Professor XD's fam and stuff like that. And it's just like, what? Like, no
Ugh.
one's gonna talk like this in 2115. Uh, and it feels like this is kind of like it's like a Ready Player One thing. But
Uh-huh.
like, it made sense for Ready Player One because they had to study all this video game movie stuff or whatever because it was essentially their job to study it
Yeah.
to try and get the egg
Mm-hmm.
to win this fortune. Like it made sense that they like and like everyone on Earth did it because they
Yeah.
were all in the Oasis and
Yeah.
stuff.
And you
So
can justify, well, how come there's not stuff after our time? And it's like, well, when you have the Oasis and you can do anything, you don't need people to make stuff for you. You do it yourself.
yeah,
So you have a period of time where this was pop culture, and so that's why it's referenced. Like,
mm,
I, it's
yeah,
justified.
and it's justified because like the creator of the Oasis loved all those things. And so like, oh, we're in this Dungeons and Dragons level. I need to reference a bunch of Dungeons and Dragons stuff
Mm-hmm.
because it's essential to what I'm doing currently.
Yeah.
Where this is just like, hey, we're hanging out on a spaceship and we're just like talking about these things that we like. Or like, oh man, traveling through space. Psh, sure is like 2001 Space Odyssey. It's like, yeah, I get it. It's not
Okay.
like a direct line.
Yeah.
That's just kind of what it feels like. So for the first, this book is only I think like less than it's like right around the 300 page mark.
Okay.
The first 150 pages or so, I just like did not care. I was like, I can't wait to get this book over with. Now the back half, once they like get to Babel, or not Babel, get to Paradise, and like things like really start picking up, it gets more interesting. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm starting to get into it. It's still like just dropping reference after reference after reference. It's still kind of annoying, but there's like some fun ideas there, and there's like a robot character who like you really want to be like a K2SO or an R2D2 or whatever, just like you really want to like this thing, but like they were able to like program it with their like movies
Mm-hmm.
stuff. So it's like they needed to give it like a personality. So they uploaded all the stuff into its mainframe and its AI like generated this thing that's like, okay, now it can do movie references and stuff
Oh,
too.
cool.
But it like never really like becomes a character.
Mm.
Like at one point, another character's like, "Hey, that was real fucking dumb to do because you gave this thing a personality. It's a killing machine. If it decides like it doesn't like you, it can kill you, and there's not like we can't stop it." Um, and then, but it never really gets enough to do where I'm just like, is it going to be a good robot or a bad robot or whatever? It's just kind of there and it just goes like, I agree with everything that's going on. So it doesn't even really become a character. But the last thing I'll say, like the coolest part which I thought was like a fun way to do it, and I can see it in my mind's eye, but at the same time, it's like you've just done this the entire book, so now it's like extra kind of annoying. Where like we need to get all the people who have been like their free will has been taken, but how do we like get them? We can't reprogram them right away, but we can. How do we get them to like do behaviors to like overthrow their corporate overlords or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh well, if we take our disk of movie stuff, we can upload it into the mainframe to like kind of give them all enough data so they can sort of like function. And so like it's just all these like free like all these reprogrammed people who are now like shouting movie quotes as they're like taking over the paradise plan or whatever, and it's so fucking silly.
Uh,
It's like kind of cool but at the same time it's just like so dumb because like here's just this like human robot hybrid thing who's just like go ahead, punk, make my day. It just like kills a guy or something like that. It's just like so fucking ridiculous. Um,
Sounds awful.
yeah, I don't think it's a very good book. And I usually do a good amount of research on books and just like, okay, everyone pretty much universally agrees this is a great book. And so far, it hasn't really failed me. This is a book I solely got because I've read his other books, which I didn't necessarily love those books, but I was like,
Mm-hmm.
these are solid enough. And this is more sci fi, so I'll give it a shot. And boy, this is his worst by far, in my opinion.
Have you
Like,
looked at what people thought about it after the fact?
uh,
Is there a consensus that this is not very good?
well, because it's like I don't think many people have read it. That's the
Uh,
problem. Because I think I did Google it just to see if anyone else had any other real thoughts, but I didn't.
Because you don't have
I
like a
didn't.
Goodreads account, right?
I don't, and I didn't look too hard. I think this is a book solely for like Logic fans,
Mm,
because if you know anything about him, you can see like a lot of the references. Like, okay, I know he likes these things. He references in his songs or whatever. He talks about them in interviews. Like, it's very much a Logic book, but like he's very talented when it comes to music. As an author, I think he needs a lot of work.
okay.
So I'm gonna give this book a, I don't know, a D
Okay.
or a D plus, because it's not like unreadable. It feels like he's an adult who's trying to write like an adult sci-fi story, but this is like for teenagers who
Mm-hmm.
specifically like his kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like, I don't think it's nearly as smart as it needs to be, or funny as it thinks it is, or like there's concepts here that are interesting, but just not executed very well, in my opinion. So yeah, just Ultra 85, skip it. The album, I don't really remember that much, but the album's probably okay.
Okay. Well, let's get to our main topic, and I'm going to say it's probably going to be one of our fastest reviews, because
Okay.
how do you really talk about this like you would talk about a primate? You know? Is this thing on? Is Bradley Cooper's latest movie, story about a man going through a divorce, stumbles into stand-up comedy, and finds out he's kind of good at it, kind of likes it, and then through that starts kind of refalling in love with his ex-wife. And
Sure, more or less.
I thought this was really good. I really had a good time watching it. It's long as fuck, though. I checked my phone a million times because, like, well, clearly we're halfway through. Like, we're 30 minutes in. There's still an hour and a half left of this. Like, oh my God, I could wrap this shit up real quick. And it does go on, but there's not any one thing I would necessarily cut from it. But I had a good time.
I really like this movie, actually. I think it's a 2 hours and 3 minutes long. I would say I definitely did check my phone once or twice. Not because I was necessarily bored, just kind of like, where are we at in this story? I would say, like, if it was any longer, we're in the, this needs to wrap up territory. But I think it's just at a fine length.
Mm-hmm.
Would I have been happy if it was like 10, 15 minutes shorter? For sure. But that being said, when it comes to dramedies, I usually am not a big fan of them, because I think a lot of times they struggle tonally. Like, are they more comedy? Are they more drama? Do they call themselves a dramedy, but like the jokes aren't really that funny? Or is it more, does it lean more into the dark comedy area? And so, like, tonally is where I usually struggle. I think this movie does a great job of balancing them both, because, I laughed throughout this entire movie.
I had some chuckles. I don't think there's any one joke that I was like, damn, they really killed it with this joke.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anything in this movie is necessarily hilarious, because he's just starting out, and that doesn't necessarily mean like Bradley Cooper's character is like unintentionally funny.
Yes.
I mean, intentionally written as funny, but
As funny.
unintentionally, like, the things he's saying aren't supposed to be funny in the context of the world, but are funny to the audience. So I think, but like I said, I laughed throughout it. I think don't know if I've ever seen Will Arnett do dramatic acting, and I think he did really well in this movie.
Really good job.
There's a couple scenes, like there's one, I guess, major scene where he's like arguing with his wife, and then shortly after he's like in the club and he's kind of like having this like breakdown where he's just like yelling at the audience about how women are bloodsucker, or wives are bloodsuckers who just are vampires who drain you of everything. And I was like, man, Will Arnett can fucking act. Especially teamed up with Laura Dern, who's not known for comedy and just known for drama. I think that was a good choice.
And I'm glad they didn't make her the overly grating ex-wife.
Yeah, no. I think
really like her.
Yeah, you pretty much like everyone in this movie.
And
even
Peyton Manning's in this?
That was so fucking
I'm
weird.
looking at him like, that's Peyton Manning, right?
Yeah.
Or, no, it has to be. There's no one that looks like that. That's got to be him.
Yeah. I mean, I think it was smart casting choice of like having an athlete be like a coach, but it was weird. Like, you got the football guy to just be like a volleyball coach.
Yeah.
And whatever. It was just like, that was the one part of the movie that actually took me out of it. I was like, Why the fuck is Peyton Manning in this?
It was like Marty Supreme when you have like the dude from Shark Tank show up and like, is that really the dude from Shark Tank? That guy's not an actor. What is this? But they both do a good job.
But luckily, he's only in like one scene, essentially. Not that he was bad at it by any means. I'm not shitting on Peyton Manning. It's just like shocking to see him there. But yeah, I think my only real criticism of the movie, and like they kind of write it off, is just like you never really saw him struggle. Like every time he got up there, he was good.
He was good.
And the movie writes it off as like at one point he's like hanging out with all of his friends, and they're like, "Oh man, you were always the funniest one of the group, and you know you always made us laugh." Which we never got to see at the beginning of the movie because he was like in this marriage that you know was, or like his life at that point was just kind of like the same thing over and over again and bland. And so he never seemed funny. So it's like, why is he so good at this off the jump? But I liked all of his sets. I think it really, anyone watching this movie would just go like, oh, I can do stand-up comedy.
Sure.
Or like stand-up comedy seems like so much fun because you do it one time, everyone's like, oh, you're a comic, you're one of us, and brings you into their community.
Mm-hmm.
You've made the community seem really nice.
Mm-hmm.
And then you do a couple of nice sets, and then the hot comedian wants to fuck you.
Yeah.
And so like, you hook up with her. Like I watched it with our buddy Nick, and just like, dude, we should have been doing stand-up comedy in our 20s this whole time. It just made it seem like so fun. Despite like, I've seen so many interviews with stand-up comedians like, no, like stand-up's fucking hard, and you're gonna like bomb, and you have to like do the same set over and over and over again to like work out the best rhythm of it before it gets good, and then you throw it away, and then you do make up a whole new 10 minutes or whatever. So you never really saw him, you know, do too much of that. But if you did, it would also like drag the movie on longer because it wasn't really about like him being good or bad at stand-up. It's just him finding this thing that makes him happy, that makes him reevaluate his life and his relationship with Laura Dern's character.
I really did think it was going to be a look at how this person rises through the comedy, and this was just the catalyst. And it's like, oh no, we got the first couple of weeks of this. I thought we were going to get a couple of years. You know, it would end with him getting his Netflix special or something like that. But it's that's not the movie this was.
Yeah. But like we said, I like that Laura Dern wasn't, you know, this, you know, woman nag or whatever. She was just like, she was a nice person who was also like dealing with her own thing of like not feeling adequate after, you know, retiring from the sport that like that was her stand-up, you know, but she had that younger. And I like that, you know, there's that scene where she goes to the comedy club without knowing he's going to do stand-up, and then he does this stand-up set where he's like, you know, kind of making fun of her and their relationship, and then it would have been so easy to be like, okay, well, this is the part that like they have this huge fight, and it becomes this like, you know, this shattering thing.
How dare you air all of our secrets?
But it's just like, oh, seeing you doing something you like and be good at it, it was fucking hot.
Yeah.
And then they hook up, and they're like, wait, are they going to get back together? But obviously, like hooking up one time doesn't fix all the problems in their marriage.
Sure.
But I like that it was just like, oh, well, you know, I wasn't unhappy with our marriage. I was just happy in our marriage. And, you know, it doesn't say they got back together. It just says, like, there's hope that maybe we can work this out because neither one of us are bad people and clearly care about the other person. And I don't know. I just had a great time in terms of, like, Bradley Cooper movies. It's weird that he's like, oh, he did A Star is Born, like off the jump. Wow, what a debut. And like all these Oscar nominations. And then he does Maestro, also has 7 Oscar nominations. Didn't do nearly as well as A Star is Born, but it's like, oh, 2 like musical performance movies. And then now he does this like, feels like a small indie flick that he just happened to direct. And like, if he wasn't in it, you probably wouldn't know that Bradley Cooper has anything to do with this.
This feels like something that like, this is a Mike Birbiglia movie, and it's the story of Mike Birbiglia, you know?
Yeah. The last thing I'll say, my favorite shot in this movie, and probably yours too, maybe, I don't know, because I turned to Nick as we were watching it, and I started like, well, I was clapping when they did it, and he was just like, man, we're such film nerds, because it was... he was arguing with Laura Dern in this attic, and he like storms out and he goes down the stairs, and then as he's going down the stairs, it's like him coming out of the stairs of the comedy club and like going up on stage where he does like his whole big rant. I was like, damn, that's a good transition. So that was the only like really like directory shot of the movie. So it's by no means a flashy movie in terms of like directing. Like realistically, anyone probably could have directed this, but I think it's handled very well.
Mhm.
I think the script's nice and tight. Maybe could have cut around some of the like the friend stuff, because you had like the Bradley Cooper character and his
Mhm.
wife's marriage, and it seemed like they were kind of like added in to like be a look how good their marriage is, but actually it's not that great.
Mhm.
But I don't know if they really need to like have all that. But
Yeah. And then
you
like
needed a
Sean Hayes is there, and it's like
yeah.
he's
Sean
a,
Hayes is there because Will Arnett's like they're like really close friends. They
oh
have a
really?
podcast together. Yeah.
Oh
Um,
yeah, duh, 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 duh.
yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
forgot.
Um, and obviously Will Arnett and
And
Bradley Cooper
that's
are friends
funny
too.
saying that. When I was watching, I was like, you know what? This seems like this could be a Jason Bateman role, not a Will Arnett role. You
Yeah,
know?
I could see that too. I could see either one of them do
Yeah.
it. But it was nice seeing Will Arnett do this. Uh, yeah, the when the Bradley Cooper's wife comes down is like sitting on the couch or that he's sleeping on and like talking to him and just like saying, I used to think you were like really attractive back in the day. I was like, is this dude gonna fuck every woman in this movie because he does comedy?
Yep.
Like, but I'm glad that they didn't hook up
Yeah.
because I would have been pissed off if they did
Yeah.
because it just would
I'm
have
glad
seemed
she
like
said like I'm not hitting on
yeah,
you.
yeah.
I'm just talking to you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because she was like, I don't like you very much
Yeah.
anymore. But at the time, I was like, if they just like hate fuck each other, this is gonna be ridiculous. Because it's just like this dude does comedy for like a month and he just gets to bang
uh,
all these beautiful women. It's frustrating. Anyway, but yeah, I'm gonna give this movie. I'm gonna give it an A minus. I really, really
okay.
liked it.
All right.
I could see. Or maybe it's just recency bias. If this movie came out 2 weeks ago, probably would have been in my top 10 of the year.
Okay.
Like I said, like legitimately like laughed out loud multiple times. It's very simple, but effective drama, effective comedy, and I would watch it again. And yeah, I recommend it if you're a fan of comedy and
Mhm.
just like real good simple storytelling.
Yeah. I'm giving it a solid B. I didn't find it as funny as I hoped it to be, but there is a lot more comedy than I expected. Like you do see a lot of his sets and other people's sets where, like some people were saying Marty Supreme didn't have enough ping pong. For a guy, playing ping pong didn't have enough. I disagree. I think it had a perfect amount of ping
Yeah, yeah.
pong.
I also
And I think this had a more than expected amount of stand up. The first thing it made me think of was funny people.
mm,
There's some stand up scenes in that, and I think those are like legitimately funny jokes. Um, and I think these are just not as funny. They're just like kind of good observations told well, but I didn't find it that funny.
yeah. I think that fits though. It's like they're funny, but they're not like hilarious because
Mm,
he's not a professional. Like if he came out the gate and he's doing like Kevin Hart bits or
sure,
whatever, then it'd be like,
but even
there's no way he would have come up with this stuff or
even
whatever.
like David Tell shows up, for 1 second. You don't really see any of
Yeah, yeah.
his set, but like I expected to from the other comedians hear really good jokes,
Mhm.
and I didn't really hear anything that
Yeah. I liked
stuck.
its you know, kind of the simplicity of it and like all the stand-up comedy, all the stand-up comics I believe are like legitimate
Real, yeah.
real stand-up comics, and they're all like nobodies from what I've seen. Although you had who was the pink cat
Oh, Amy
princess?
Sedaris,
Amy
yeah,
Sedaris was
yeah.
worked at the club,
Mm-hmm.
and obviously from BoJack Horseman, which is a
Yeah.
nice like
Stranger
another
the Candy.
yeah yeah. So yeah, I think it just helped like with the realism of the movie,
Yeah.
like filling out like all these with like real non-famous actors and comedians,
Yeah.
and then surrounded them with like legitimate like for the main story, big time A-listers or whatever. So yeah, I really like this
Yeah.
movie.
Shout out to the kids also. They were pretty good, for kids.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
the couple scenes that they
Yeah.
were in.
I mean,
Yeah.
they're in plenty of scenes, but they didn't feel like kid actors. I appreciate that. All right. Well, next week, big one. 28 years later, the Bone Temple.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, that
God, I hope it
and
doesn't suck.
I know there's a great chance that it does, but I was seeing like early December, they were showing it to influencers and online critics and didn't have any sort of review embargo. I'm like, say what you got to say. And that's a good sign that they are confident in the product that they have.
Mm.
So I have a feeling it's going to be awesome. But we also have All You Need Is Kill, the anime version of the book.
I will try and watch both, but if I'm watching one, it's going to be
It's
Bone
Bone
Temple.
Temple. Yeah. All right, cool. Well, if you want to get in contact with us, we are at WRPL podcast at gmail.com. We're on Instagram, TikTok, Threads, and Blue Sky. As always, I'm Ben.
And I'm Steve.
And keep consuming.